Thanks for everybody joining in today. As you know, I'm Ian Walsh. I'm with Hard Money Bankers, where we do construction and acquisition loans for a lot of people in the Philadelphia region. Today, we're doing Masters of the Market. It's another episode with an expert, a local expert in a very specific niche, and I have a lot of background with this individual, and knowing him a long time. He's got a ton of experience and a ton of knowledge through repetition, through being in so many homes, through understanding marketing. Today we're dealing with Bill Kratz and his specialty or his niche. He's a very investor-friendly realtor or broker. Deals with a lot of experienced guys that know what they're doing. So he's around very similar to a wholesaling perspective, as we had spoken with George, but it's a little different because he operates in a bit of a different market. Same skill sets, very similar skill sets. So I really wanted to get his pulse today on what things are. So Bill, if you would just quick introduction and who you're with and your company name and so forth.
Absolutely. My name is Bill Kratz. I'm the broker and owner of Home Smart Realty Advisors, a very investor-friendly real estate brokerage because I started off as an investor long before I ever got my real estate license and started helping other people buy, sell, and invest. Have a background with you, of course, dating back to 2008 with all the wholesaling stuff, learning how to directly market to find little to no competition deals, and still do that to this day. And we also were, buying Section 8 houses and flip properties too. And I think that's one of the keys to working with an investor-friendly broker, someone who actually gets their hands dirty with the business as well. So thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, no problem. So as you guys can see, Bill's in the game, and I have, as he had mentioned, I've known him since 2008. And I don't know, Bill, how many houses do you think you've been in by this point? 1,000 houses, more?
Probably more.
Yeah.
I think between us, probably analyzed thousands of houses, walked through 1,000 plus, been involved in hundreds of real estate transactions and other transactions. So it's the knowledge is deep for sure.
Yeah. So what I'd like to kind of pick your brain on is, we saw the bottom of 2008 or 2009 when the market bottomed out. You were there, you were in it, you saw it, and then as the market has risen or recovered, as they say, over the past 9 years, right? It's been changing. So what are you noticing the difference between like 2008 and 2009 and where we are today? Like, what are some of the key differences that you've noticed?
Okay, so back in 2008 when I first got started, it was the tail end of a crazy market. I think I was kind of blessed where I didn't have tons of cash to invest because a good chance I would have lost it all, not being able to experience that market and see what the ups and downs were. And the market tanked as we were getting involved, and that was a time when it was very tough to sell deals, for example. Whereas today, the market has certainly recuperated. There's a lot going on, but it also presents a lot of challenges as well, specifically for the guys who are flipping houses. So just to give an example, where back in 2008, you and I could pretty much purchase any property at any price.
Sure.
and find a way to make money on it. Nowadays, I'm starting to see wholesaling become very popular again. You're seeing a lot of like the fortune builders, the boot camps, and all of those things. And there's a lot more investors coming into the marketplace, which is a good thing. But at the same time, when they enter into the marketplace without a local mentor, they end up overpaying for properties. And for the experienced guys, it forces us to have to work off of lower margins. So it's definitely a challenging market, and you just have to react to it in certain ways, which we could cover some of that as well. So for me,
so that's a really interesting thing to mention, and it was the first time we've kind of had it come up on the podcast, which is, so you were basically having, lower supply, higher demand, which is a scary thing. The higher demand being the flippers that come in. I talk to a lot of guys that they go to the sheriff sales and they see it too. They're just like, people are coming in that don't have the same level of experience and they're overpaying. And at the moment, for the time being, the market sometimes gives them that higher number on the resale. They come in, they pay too much, but they get the higher number on the resale because the market's still going up. But a savvy investor is not looking at, hey, am I going to get the new high number? These guys are looking at what the number is today. Problem is they're not willing to pay and take the chance of the new speculative number. But where a new investor comes in, which is exactly what you're talking about, it kicks out the savvy investor because they're like, I'm not paying that number for that. And then the new investor, maybe they do, maybe they don't make, and then maybe the market covers them up. But The real concern there, right, for the guys that have been in the game for a long time, they say, if that market dips while I'm holding this property and I'm not going to get that new high number, I'm losing money. I can't lose money on these deals. So, yeah, I can see the demand being so much higher than the supply at the moment. I don't know, what's that tipping point? I don't think any of us know. So, with that being said, what are you doing moving forward to change your business model and things that you're doing to adapt to what, obviously we're getting closer to a softening market, or it's going to be there sooner than later. So, what are you doing?
So, I think those who have the greatest risk right now are the builders and developers in areas like Old Kensington, Fishtown, Point Breezes, where the inventory can change in the snap of a finger. Where a guy builds 10 houses, and when you first built your home, there was only a few on the market. So, that's like one area to really pay attention to. That's where the greatest risk is. For me, I'm more of a buy and hold guy. So Section 8 properties. So that strategy, to me, it's almost impervious to any market, because if you're buying properties for 15, 20, 30,000 and you're holding on to them forever, I don't think the government programs are going to shrink, and I'll continue to get my monthly rent. But that being said, everyone has a different strategy. So I think that on the flipping side of things, to be in areas that, if you can find a home run deal in an area like Brewery Town or, Old Kensington, great. But, I think there's a lot of opportunity, and it's a little bit safer to maybe be in some of the neighborhoods that are like solid working class areas where teachers live and firefighters and things like that. I think there's a good opportunity there. One of my personal strategies is kind of a less is more at this point. So what I've noticed as far as marketing goes, to find some of these little to no competition deals, I used to do a lot of inherited properties, for example, and send out, postcards, cold call, door knock, whatever it takes. But I started to realize, instead of 5 people that were showing up, in 2009, 2010, 2011, now it's like 20 or 30 people now marketing or more. So it's becoming saturated even on the direct marketing side. So I'm actually getting away from some of that stuff and focusing in on just certain key areas. So the less is more in hitting those people more frequently in areas that I want to own in. So I think that strategy could be helpful for a lot of the people on the call here.
So I think so I'm hearing, so again, your marketing is now showing that the demand is so much higher than the supply. So you're getting it, you're in a seller's market, right? So yeah,
sure.
when the market corrects, right? All of a sudden you're going back to 2009 and you have 5 people in the house. Right now you have 30 and they're paying twice the price you're going to pay. And it seems like your other suggestion, if I'm hearing it correctly, is so don't go into those speculative areas. You're finding your areas that are stable, have been stable, will be stable, survived a crash, 2 crashes, and they are what they are. I mean, I know what you're talking about. Certain areas, like you had mentioned, or I guess I won't say too many because it's going to bring a bunch of competition into your area. But there's very stable areas around the city that you're never going to go up $200,000 in 2 years and have this home run deal in terms of buying something for 75 or 100 and getting 300 out of it. You're not looking for those areas. You're looking for stable right now,
right?
Because they also won't go down.
Right, so you could picture areas. I'll even say like a Mount Airy or an Overbrook Park, or other neighborhoods like that in West Oak Lane. So I think when the market softens, the bigger blows will be in those developing areas where you can lose $100,000 in equity just as much as you can gain it. Yep. But in those areas, the dip will be much smaller. So, and I think the key is, if you are in those areas, developing, I think it's key to know who the other players are. You really have to know the active inventory, what's pending, what's coming to the market, who else is building, and what their plans are over the next 6 to 12 months. What have they purchased? What do they currently own? Because then unless you know who the players are and you know what their plans are, you can really get burned quick as new properties start to hit the market. So if you are going to be in those developing areas, you really, really have to have an incredible pulse on what's going on and know the players and what they're doing.
Sure, yeah, and I know guys in those areas like you do, and those guys tend to be, maybe it's just appetite, right? They tend to be bigger gamblers in general. Like these guys, they know they're going to try to hit big and go big, but the problem is when those guys lose, they lose big. And not my appetite. Doesn't sound like it's yours. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose small. If I'm going to win, I'd like to win a little bigger than I would have lost. But anything in between, I'm not looking to hit a home run tomorrow, because you try to survive cycle after cycle in this business, and that's the game. It's not, I guess, there's certainly something to be said about somebody who comes in 3 years and makes several $1,000,000, but cashing out at the right time is also very important, because you could lose that money just as fast as you made it. But most of the guys that you and I meet or know and so forth, they've been in a long time because they don't take high risks. They minimize their risk. They're very clear on their upside. Most of the time, they're not trying to hit these billion-dollar, transactions, and they just do a lot of transactions, and they get to know their market. So let me ask you this: from all your, your skill sets and stuff that you've developed over the years, what kind of tips would you have to people? First of all, looking for, an investor-friendly realtor such as yourself, or getting in the game. Anything that you could offer if you said, "Hey, if I were to give somebody some information, this would be really good information."
All right. So, since we're kind of talking about, markets and flipping and renting, I'll share one thing that will make you bulletproof to any market, impervious to any condition, no matter what happens. And I think the key is ownership, assets, no matter what that is. And I think a lot of us flippers get caught up in the addiction of making a quick 20, 30, 40, 50,000, and you flip, and flip, and it just becomes nothing more than a burger flipping day job. 10 to 15 years goes by, and you still own nothing. So, I think the biggest takeaway is for anyone who's exclusively flipping houses or doesn't have enough, rental properties, is to continue to add rentals to your portfolio, continue to grow it, and focus just as much energy there into that long-term wealth building, because as you accumulate properties and pay them down, that's how you become bulletproof to any market, because now you own assets, you own your own inventory, you control it, and you don't have to wake up and go to work every day. I truly believe in long-term rental property ownership and those types of things, and I think that is something that the game is missing, especially with a lot of the flippers and developers.
Sure, and I think we'll see. I think that strategy too becomes. Right now it's sexy to flip because you see it on TV, right? It's just the
Right.
nature of the beast. But I think when the serious buyers come back out, when the market tanks again, a lot that buy and hold strategy and so forth, and owning things over a 15-year period are exactly what people are going to find sexy again, and the market does the whole cycle back over. So Bill, I really appreciate your time today. If I'm looking to contact Bill Kratz, where do I contact you? What's your website? What's your phone number? How do I get in touch with Bill Kratz if I'm trying to find a deal?
Okay. Yeah, no problem. You can reach me anytime, text message, phone call. The cell phone is 610-574-7224, 610-574-7224, or you can visit my brokerage website and send some information there. You can go to investorfriendlybrokerage.com, investorfriendlybrokerage.com.
There you go. That's a domain name for you. That's
There you
perfect.
go.
So again, Bill, I appreciate it. I've known you a long time. Thanks for showing up today. And as you guys know, I'm Ian Walsh with Hard Money Bankers. Find us on Facebook, Hard Money Bankers PA. Just my name, Ian Walsh, or Ian at hardmoneybankers.com. And this episode will be airing in 2017, and it'll be very informative. And I know people get a lot out of it. So again, thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
All right, take care.